I'm not sure what he means by this, right? There is a general nervousness that I see symptomatic of an ever-increasing unwillingness to think athletically, that is, without, as opposed to in concert with, the safer or easier toeholds of the concrete. So is he saying talking about beauty is harder than talking about something that, lives in the concrete world? That's how I'm reading it. He goes on to say, equally on the rise, an unwillingness to be held accountable, to take responsibility, which is what authority requires. It forces the artist to take a stand and to reckon with such issues as intention, meaning, self, and their relationship to what Marianne Moore calls the genuine.
Yeah.
I mean, when he talks about being held accountable here, right? I'm so here's how I'm reading it. Poets are increasingly unwilling to deal with things that are abstract in nature because they are unwilling to take a stand on what maybe like a definition of what that abstraction is, or to take a stand on their particular viewpoint. They're reluctant to put forth a particular position lest they be, I don't know, picked at or made fun of or told that they're wrong, right? Even though it's a poem, right? Your poem doesn't have to align with your views perfectly, right? Or so I would think. And then he says that abstraction is generally conflated with authority.
Yeah.
So
So
I
he's
guess
not
I'm trying to
mentioning a
get at like,
specific thing, but he's talking
yeah,
about contemporary poetry. I mean, he's talking about how shitty it is, like we talk about on here. I mean,
yeah, but
everybody
without
knows it.
saying it, it
Yeah,
feels like,
because he's a pussy, but I mean, his position, he could say it if he wanted to, but of course he won't
well,
because he
that's what I
wants
mean.
to
It
be.
feels like there's something he actually wants to say that he's not saying. And that's what I find maybe a little bit frustrating here.
Yeah, an
Like, I would love
abstraction.
for him to explain abstraction as conflated with authority, what that actually means. He says, like, what authority requires, but he doesn't say what authority really is, which, again, how do you do that? But he must have some idea about what that actually looks like in a poem. And maybe elsewhere in this book, he goes on to talk about that more in maybe slightly more concrete terms. But here, I don't feel like he really does. And I'd like to see. I guess all throughout this book, I was asking myself, what do we mean by authority? Is it just a willingness to say something about something abstract with, I don't know what to call it, except, like, again, except authority, right? To have conviction about something that is abstract.
Yeah. He goes on to talk about authority in a few different essays, but here he's just kind of laying it out. But yeah, the abstraction is generally conflated with authority because, again, poetry sucks right now. And so people just do these abstract nonsense and then call it like really, really nice shit. But then also the concrete, right? He's like, but we can't also. And the whole thing he talks about is striking a balance. I agree with you. We don't really know what we're talking about in terms of authority here.